contribution, where do they factor in? Because the query are people that have been paid outside the PPD. Is that not the query? So where is the response to it?
Chairman, let me take you to note number 11 on compensation of employees, where this amount is.
Yes, proceed.
So, Chairman, this is purely compensation of employees, and I said these employees were not all employees. We have three sets of employees. We have contract employees, contracted employees, which are within PPID or IPPD, and their compensations are within IPPD. We have a staff from the national government, which also come from, which also are covered within IPPD. The only staff that are not covered, their compensations are not covered, which are indicated here, are the staff from local, former local authorities, the de facto local authorities.
Auditor General, what's if this figure of 285 is close to the figure of 286 million, the county is saying that the staff pension is paid outside IPPD. The staff pension. What's the problem with that argument?
It is not possible to pay pension outside IPPD because every staff has a pension a deduction code, and in that code there is employee contribution and employer's contribution. And when they are making channels for entries at the end of the month, we have payroll summaries, and those summaries have both the employee contribution and the employer's contribution. And Chair, maybe I like us to me, these figures they may look closer, but they are not the same. The 285 and 286, they are not the same. So what we are saying is when we added the payroll, we had a balance of 3,295,000,000. But the figure they have in the financial statements, which includes this 285, it is 3,580,000,000. So they have not addressed the issue, the difference that we are asking.
So your argument was that the 3.29 billion should include pension and social security contributions.
Yes.
That's your argument. The 3.2 billion should be all inclusive.
Yes.
But they are saying that it excludes an amount for social security.
Chair, now that is what they have not provided information. This money that they are saying they paid outside IPPD, where is the list who was being paid?
Governor, where is the list who was being paid? CC, wasn't that question put to you by the auditor when you're preparing for this meeting?
Obviously not.
Auditor General, you didn't indicate the accountability required? Because you see, we are not doing an audit here. CC, it's been put to you that the Auditor General asked for it?
Chairman, I was not completely asked to provide the list. If I was told to provide the list, that would.
But how do you justify expenditure? You don't justify expenditure by a story. You justify expenditure by providing a schedule.
Chair, can I add value to what you're saying, Chair? If you look at the story about pending bills, the story about retirement benefits for workers who, of course, came from county councils and did all this, Chair, all these payments are actually never made to the right people. Chair, what happens is exactly the same technique and the same conmanship being used to void payments through the IFMI system is exactly the same thing that is going on. So unless we investigate this to the bottom of its end, every single county in Kenya today cannot pay pension payments for its workers. Those pension payments are being shifted over and they're being called pending bills. deliberately because the money is being siphoned off?
We are incapable of getting to the bottom of resolving this matter. And I think this is an issue that requires investigation, because 285 million is not small money, but 285 million is definitely not the amount that the county government. You're explaining 286 million, the Auditor General is querying 285 million. Even if they were close, they are not necessarily the same. Senator Ledama.
Yeah, before you give your directions, I just wanted to ask the governor, how many permanent employees do you have vis-a-vis temporary employees? And how many of the temporary employees have been waiting to be promoted to permanent in the county?
Chair, that is a very good question by the senator. I don't have the exact numbers, but I know that we have a workforce of about 5,000 in total. But now to divide which ones are permanent and which one are not, it's an area that I can bring, I can give out the exact numbers, but a total of about 5,000 workforce in Narok County.
But maybe if just to write on that so that I don't lose my turn. Just one moment.
Right, okay.
Now, I think that answer, that's the reason why you came with the county secretary, because he's the head of public service. It's a question, I mean, you are the head of those people. It's a question that you should have without struggling.
Honorable Chair, as the governor stated, I can't give the exact figures, but approximately we have a workforce of about 5,500 workers. About 300 of them are on contract, and we have less than 70 casuals. And we have interns in the health department also.
Okay, Senator.
Chairman, as I conclude, I think this query, composition of employees, should lead the county to look at the entire employees. Because when the auditor says payroll for permanent employees and schedule of casual workers amounted to X amount, resulting to an explained variance of 285. So this 285, were they being paid just as casual as well? Or were they being paid as some temporary employment? So I think it would be proper for the county government to go and take its schedule of all the employees they have, compare permanent, temporary, and casuals. So that.
Honorable Chair, that is information that we can provide. Indeed, last year, the governor commissioned a human resource audit because we realized that there was a lot that was not clear when it comes to remuneration of employees. And the audit report is out. And those are some of the issues that we want to rectify through that exercise.
Okay, we shall deal with that in subsequent financial years, but on this matter, if the Auditor General does not have a view on how the 285 million was spent, we cannot take a contrary position. So this could be some of the issues we are referring for investigation. The next issue is unaccounted expenditure on transfers to polytechnics. Auditor General, you had briefed us that this has now been resolved. This has been resolved to your satisfaction. We'll then proceed to other matters. And because this is a period in the past, it might not make a lot of sense to deal with budgetary control and performance. However, we have pointed out to the Auditor General that this report is incomplete without a query on on-source revenue. The on-source revenue for Narok dropped significantly in that financial year. And it was not the job of the auditor to guess the cause of the drop. It was the job of the auditor to raise a query on on-source revenue, which had dropped from a high of close to 2 billion to a low of 600 million. So it's a matter that we've already canvassed to the Auditor General. We feel that justice was not done in this audit report. Revenue dropped from 2.3 billion to 600 million. And it was not the auditor's job to guess that it was because of COVID. It was the auditor's job to raise the query and for the county to confirm the direct relationship between COVID and your own source revenue. In the next financial year, we'll be considering the receipt of revenue report. And Auditor General, in the receipt of revenue report, we expect that we'll not just be looking at the numbers, but we'll also be looking at the systems, the processes, and the procedures involved in on-source revenue management. This report does not have that section, and I think I will not belabor the point. We have already raised that with the Office of the Auditor General. And that's why I'd said earlier that we measured on minors and ignored the major issues. We need to deal with pending bills, unsupported pending bills. I think there are three elements to this. There's the issue of the accuracy of the numbers as at that financial year. There's the issue of the composition of contingent liabilities. But thirdly would be for the governor to tell us what the current situation is, because it does not make a lot of sense to go back to 2021. It's important to talk about the current situation. So, starting with the first part of your observation, Auditor General, what have you agreed with the county executive, or has the county executive confirmed what was the true balance?
Yes, Chair. The casting error was corrected, and we agreed on the.
So, Governor, what was your pending bills as at the close of that financial year? What was the amount?
Finance, can you go through the pending bills?
Chairman, what we met ourselves as the amount of pending bills that was handed over was 1.5 billion.
So we are talking about this financial year. There was a casting error.
Yes.
So
Yes.
after considering that casting error, what was the value of accounts receivable?
Currently,
No.
after what we paid.
At that, we are dealing with this report.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
We've got two figures, 1.4 and 1.5.
Yeah.
So what was the agreed pending bill amount? 1.5 or 1.3? 1.5 or 1.4?
The amount was 1.4.
Chairman, the amount was 1.4, as indicated by the auditor.
Which you've got an amount of 1.4 and a recast balance of 1.5.
Yes.
So which number do we work with?
1.5.
Yes.
1.5.
Yes.
Auditor General, you agree it's 1.5.
It's 1.5.
Number two, the 1.5, have they been supported with aging analysis, agreements, invoices, delivery notes, etc.?
Chairman, not. We had a committee that was formed, which separated the pending bills that we received. We had unsatisfied works. We had unsupported claims. We had work in progress. And we had invoices with errors. Those are the issues that were pointed out. But the amount that was realized later, after all that,
The amount
was coming to above 1 billion shillings, which was paid. We paid about 575 million. And now the balance is 580.
So, hold on, Chair.
Senator?
The balance is 580 as of when?
Chairman, as of February of this year.
So that means that from December of last year to February, you paid almost 400 million.
Chairman, I said we paid exactly 575 million. That's what I said.
In 3 months.
Not in 3 months, since we came into government.
Let me, maybe before we end, because we just dealt with this matter. And as of the Controller of Budget statement, as of December, Narok County owed $1 billion. As of December. So the question is, and I will get back into the issues of these pending bills. Right now, I was just interjecting where the chair was leading, because I've got other serious questions to ask on this matter. But the question is, do you have the actual facts of what you've already paid versus what is owing to the suppliers?
Chairman, yes, we have.
Could they provide it?
Okay, has that been provided?
No, it was not part of this query. Or
Maybe, but
analysis,
even
but-
before you,
But let me say this so that we can understand each other, chairman and members. That when I came into the office, we had 1.5 billion shilling. But then we were advised by the auditor, the controller of budget, to form a committee that will verify what is payable and what is not. So we went through that.
Point of order, Chair.
And
Point of order.
finish.
Senator.
Point of, I thought the matter was dealt with by Kitale High Court in E003, in where it was ruled that although what has been done is okay, but it was ruled that the domain of verification of pending bills, because that's what Governor Natembeya, through the former OAG Edward Ouko, had tried to do, that the courts ruled that it is exclusive domain of verification of pending bills as per petition, constitutional petition E003 in Kitale High Court. So, Governor, what do you mean? Because that matter should be left with OAG. Or can you table evidence to show that the OAG gave you the power to verify? Because that is a matter we have canvassed. I remember our legal counsel at that point advised us, but we said we don't want to throw it. Done it. It's tally. I think early this year, it has stopped any other engagement in
But maybe-
forming commission to verify.
maybe for information so that you're able to move properly. And what I am getting from the governor, it is not a pending bill committee that you formed this year. It is something that you formed when you came in. So that is part of what in that petition had been said, that those that are there should finish. And I think I wanted to get that rid of vote of the governor so that I tie it to what the senator of Narok is saying in regards to what was the pending bills status as at December of last year.
We did that before the High Court.
Was it an internal committee or there were outsiders?
It is an internal committee because that's what we were advised by the
internal committee.
Yes,
Yeah,
and we verified.
I think the bigger problem is when you get external persons to set up a task force.
No, it is.
But an
it's
internal committee is part of
It is
your,
internal.
your operation.
So how much of that was then how much of the 1.5 billion was verified to be eligible bills?
Ineligible, eh?
Ineligible.
So pending bills as for, the pending bill as per when I came in was 1.5, 327 pay.
You get there.
Yes,
You see that you formed that pending bill committee so that
yes,
it's
to
verified.
verify and look at.
So out of the 1.5,
Yes,
how much was verified as bills that are payable or eligible bills?
eligible bills, you can answer.
Chairman is 1.1.
1.1.
So 400
Chair.
million was ineligible.
So yeah, just
Senator,
yeah.
Chairman,
Just quickly before the CCM finance comes in, when did you set up this pending bill verification committee?
The committee chair was.
make sure you're on record. Is your mic on?
Yes, Chair. The committee was formed early last year, And indeed, that committee was gazetted twice because the time frame.
And
Just give me the exact date.
Yeah,
There's
you know,
a reason why I'm
I will
asking
have,
this.
I will have to refer.
Because, Mr.
Early,
Chairman,
early which year, 2023 or 2024?
2023.
early 2023. Because, Mr. Chairman, if you look at the current Auditor General report, which is also an adverse opinion, issue number 4 is non-compliance with guidelines on pending bills, where the Auditor General is already citing Narok County as not having established a pending bill verification committee.
This is as at 30th of June 2022 or 2023.
2023.
You see, members, the conversation that will be useful on pending bills, I want to bring it back to Senator Ledamo Lekina. Last week, we passed a motion that you had brought to the House. And, I know that the clerk of the Senate will be communicating to all governors to bring to their attention the resolution of the House. Senator Ledamo Lekina, you probably might just want to give a summary of what that motion was and what is required of the governors.
Very briefly, Governor, the motion that was resolved by the Senate last week mandates you to pay pending bills up to 1 billion shillings by the end of this financial year, which means by 30th of June, if you owe 1.1, you need to have cleared 1 billion shillings by the end of 30th of June. Number 2, it means that subsequently, any supplementary budgets will require public participation. You will not carry out any supplementary budgets without doing any public participation. Number 3, the motion requires that in the event that there are projects that have not been completed, no other new projects will be budgeted for. So you need to go back and look at your budget and budget for projects that have been pending that have never been completed, whether some that you found your previous governor or others that you're the one who is doing it. So in your budget, you cannot budget for any other project. You'll have to complete all the old projects, whether they are for Governor Tunai or your own projects. And then finally, the other issue is that you must provide, actually not finally, you must provide the control of budget with a plan on how you're paying these pending bills. The other pending bills, which are above 1 billion, you'll have to budget for them in the next financial year for you to be able to clear those pending bills, which means if Narok County owes 1.1, that all those contractors must be paid their money within this financial year and next financial year. What is most important is that the controller of budget shall not release money to Narok County or any other of the 46 counties if the pending bills have not been paid. And I also want to bring you to the attention of a decision by a judge recently on this matter of the strike between the doctors when they were still fighting between the doctors and the minister and SRC. And in summary, what the judge found is that any constitutional body that has got powers to be able to supervise an entity, when they resolve, that entity must be able to follow that, which means Article 96 of the Constitution sets up the Senate and provide the Senate with the powers to legislate, number 2, protect, and also defend counties. So what we're doing is that we're defending counties by making one could now go in and attach the properties of Narok County. I'm aware that one of our own colleagues in the Senate was planning to go and attach properties of Narok County and sell those properties so that they can be able to recover their money. So it is imperative that you, whenever you receive, because I'm sure the clerk of the Senate will send that to you, when you receive that, you stop doing everything. I know your people are now budgeting, you're planning for the budget. You need to go sit down and say, all these pending bills, they have to be paid. Once they're cleared and there's no more complaints, then you can proceed and start budgeting for new projects. Thank you, Mr.
I believe This is for information and not for debate, because the letter by the clerk will be coming to you this week, conveying the decision of the Senate, and we would expect that the Council of Governors would align with the Senate on that. The residual matter here is on contingent liabilities. Auditor General, what was your concern on contingent liabilities of 712 million?
Chair, our concern was, in addition, Annex A to the financial statement reflect the contingent liabilities totaling to 712 million, 49,416. However, the nature of the contingent liability has not been disclosed, and the extent to which the county government of Narok will be affected by the cash outflow by the cash outflows is unknown should the bills crystallize.
Okay, Governor, what is the makeup of your contingent liabilities?
Auditor General, take us where you are. I got lost a little bit. Page 14.
Page 14 in your response.
Okay. The management. Okay, thank you.
Direct to the pending contingent liabilities.
Yes. Our response is that although the schedule provided did not indicate age analysis of the pending bills, the details of the times procurement was undertaken were shown. More particulars are available in the custody of the county government. The variance of 129,602,052 resulted from a casting error. The same was noted and recasting done to reflect the correct balances. The contingent liability related to the unresolved complaints regarding pending bill from Narok County Contractors and Suppliers Association. A pending bill review committee was established to look into the authority of the pending bill, the authenticity of the pending bills, and recommended for action. A part of the claims which were clear were paid, while the ineligible pending were considered non-payable.
Auditor General, is this where you should put disputed pending bills under contingent liabilities?
No, Chair, the response does not address the issue. Contingent liabilities are those liabilities that either somebody has gone to court and is claiming, even if it's a contractor, is claiming what has not been paid together with interest and penalties. So contingent liability becomes that interest and there are also employees.
So a good example is litigation in progress.
Litigation.
So, Governor, are these items, the 25 items here,
Yes.
are they subject of litigation?
Some contractors have taken the county to court, just like the one the senator was talking about. The pending bills, and I consider those as contingent.
No, this is a strange treatment. Pending bills should be dealing with things like litigation in progress. We have looked at your accounts payable register. There are a lot of bills owed to legal practitioners, Professor Tom Ojienda, Kemboi, and company advocates, a lot of that. I believe that the Narok County government must be engaged in some litigation that is still in progress. Is that true? Where has that been disclosed? This is where that disclosure should be done under contingent liabilities, not disputed pending bills. And you will only capture disputed pending bills if it's subject of litigation. So who's your CP? Who's the CPA in your delegation? Do you have a member of ISPAC in your delegation?
No.
Governor, make sure you carry a professional next time. There's no point carrying an advocate to discuss financial matters, and you don't carry an accountant.
Yeah.
Because it's an issue of professional responsibility and compliance with the international public sector accounting standards. Senator Olekina.
But I think you need to explain clearly what you meant by the issue of contingent bills,
Yes.
because I don't think the governor really understood. And I think auditors, we need to be clear on this, because when we talk about the issue of legal fees, if you look at the current Auditor General report, I remember there is a section of about 553 million, which was paid to legal fees this year. I think clearly, whatever, Mr. Chairman, you're trying to explain, please try to demystify it further so that we all understand.
Because Senator Ledamo Lekina, under significant accounting policies, and that's why I'm asking whether there's a member of the institute who has a responsibility to comply with IPSAS. You've got policy number 9 on pending bills. But after that, you've got policy number 10 on contingent liabilities, where those are defined. And those are in your financial statements. So I'm not sure what the governor's profession is. I know his occupation is governor and politician. Governor, are you an accountant by profession? So these accounting policies are things that should be owned and fulfilled by the professionals in your establishment. So next time, make sure you have your highest ranking accountant as part of the delegation, because these financial statements, none of you here can sign these financial statements unless there is an accountant, a member of ISPAC. So there must always be that. That person in that delegation. Because now, even if Senator Ledama wants me to explain,
I believe that the governor intentionally left out some officials so that they cannot be held culpable.
You know,
Because if they, through just to finalize, if he was aware that some of these issues, and he appeared last time over the issue of procurement issues that we were having in the last query that you raised, automatically, Governor, you knew these things are financial. We would have expected you to come with somebody from ISPAC so that when we raise, no one, as the chair said, no one can sign these financial statements among you. It is the law. It is the PMF Act. It is like giving a lawyer to do an audit or become an auditor or office of the auditor to audit the issues. It will not happen because the qualifications are totally different. You know, and I know the sad reality is that we are just being morticians looking at things that had been done before. So, Chair, I think unless Governor gives the comfort that he didn't leave intentionally some professions from attending, coming to him, and you know, Narok is not very far, it's 3 hours away, unless the road in my Ledama is blocked. But I want to believe if the governor wanted to come with relevant officers, he should have come, even for learning purposes, not only even to answer questions, but for them to learn, so that, Governor, when we reach the years we have been under you, like 2022, 2023, the 2023, 2024, they are acquainted with some of these issues, and we have had, I think the auditor said it's also adverse opinion in the subsequent years.
so Governor, I think this conversation it boils down to, do you understand what your contingent liabilities are currently? Leave alone the theoretical issues around it, because that's already been dealt with under IPSAS and your significant accounting policies. Do you have an idea on the likely impact of litigation on your cash flows? Are you able to estimate the number of active cases in court and the quantum?
I don't have the exact amount, but we do have those cases ongoing, and some that has already been awarded by the court.
Did you come with your county attorney? County attorney, do you have that? Because you are supposed to be the custodian of that.
Active cases in court. We have some that have been decided, but we cannot really say the amount that has already crystallized. But we have a number of pending matters in court.
So do you understand the conversation you're having around having them listed as a contingent liability?
Yes, I do understand and appreciate that. I was here to get some of the information, even the accounting issues that you are able to discuss as a committee.
Okay, so I think from whatever we have, we do not have a proper disclosure of what ought to be contingent liabilities, because pending bills need to be disclosed in a separate manner as per your significant accounting policies. But I hope that those are the learnings going forward. We then go to the next matter, which is on irregular issuance of interest. Auditor General, you confirm that this has been resolved? General? Irregular procurement of contract.
Outstanding.
Governor, very quickly, because it's already 4 o'clock and we need to be wrapping this. This Oletukat commercial bridge was procured at a contract sum of 33 million, but it was restricted tendering. Do you agree with the Auditor General?
Yes, I agree with him that indeed Oletukat commercial bridge had been washed away by floods, paralyzing transport in the area. The management used restricted tendering method since the pre-qualified list of contractors was in place. The short period needed to restore transportation could not allow for the lengthy open of tendering processes. And indeed, that is the position.
So under what circumstances can you override the procurement regulations? Because 30 million, 33 million is above the threshold. Where is the justification?
The information, Chair, I have.
Maybe so that I tie, if you allow me, Chair, so that I tie this question.
Maybe let me finish so that the members can.
Let's allow him to maybe.
I was going to explain more so that by the time he asks the question.
No, it's not a question. I just want to a rider so that you trust together. Was this from the emergency budget or was it from the main budget? That there was a main budget in your budget line that was supposed to do this all the
emergency or the emergency fund?
Was it from the emergency fund or was it from the main budget, the budget of the county?
From where we sit, Honorable Chair, is that we try to look for documentation on this issue, and we are not able to come up with the documentation. And we know that the bridge has been constructed at that time. There was a big flood in Narok, and that particular bridge was washed away, and it was constructed. The amount that we got from the offices is 30 million, but no traces of what exactly happened. And therefore, we report to the Senate that indeed that is exactly what happened. So again, remember, I'm also reporting on what I have historical in nature.
So if the query was irregular procurement of contract, it remains irregular procurement for contract.
Correct.
So that matter is unresolved. We will make recommendations for further investigations. The next matter is on business permits. That's in on-source revenue. I had already raised the concern of the committee that this audit was shallow on on-source revenue, particularly the significant drop, but also remembering that during normal days, 20% of your budget is funded through on-source revenue. And we'll be able to address this when we start looking at the receipt of revenue statements, which I'd already said should go beyond the numbers and look at the environment, systems, processes, and procedures. On summary of fixed assets register, Auditor General, are you satisfied with the asset management practices in the county?
No, Chair.
Governor, do you have an asset management policy?
Let me give my county secretary
It starts
answer
from
that
there.
question. Yeah.
Yes, Honorable Chair, we don't have an asset management policy.
Why? And
We-
yet
we-
this is
we-
a very basic thing. The National Treasury has already issued guidelines, and all counties need to do is to pick the guidelines from National Treasury and domesticate.
Yes, that is where I was going, Chair. We have picked up the guidelines and it's an ongoing process. We actually can confirm that we have one in draft form.
Those are intentions. I think as a Senate, we want to direct that within the next 1 quarter, and that needs to be captured. The next 1 quarter, Narok County must put in place an asset management policy.
Most of
It is not rocket science. Many other counties have done it. And actually, the Narok County Assembly was able to demonstrate to us that they've made some progress in that. So at least we have a case where the assembly is ahead of the executive. So you guys can borrow from the assembly. Auditor General, you dropped the issue of assets and liabilities from defunct local authorities. I think Narok is one of those counties that is grossly affected. I would have expected that would have been an observation here. So please keep that in view and update us going forward. Members, is there anything under asset management that you wish to query?
Maybe, Chair, through to the governor, have you allocated resources to ensure everything? Because I saw, Chair, there is land in 2018-2019, financial year of 25,200,000 that they had not been transferred, ownership has not been transferred to the county. Governor, are there resources in your budget since you came to office that you have allocated to ensure assets and liabilities register or fixed asset register is full and complete? And when I walk into Narok County, I can get the assets fixed asset register that is complete. And because I was told that the last time the Narok County Assembly appeared, I don't know, is it them who are squatting on the county executive land or the county executive was staying on the county assembly land?
Narok County Assembly was able to demonstrate that they've got a title.
Yes, of where your office sits. So is your assets fixed asset register is complete? And have you allocated resources to that effect, and by how much? Thank you, Chair.
Chair, as we have indicated earlier, that we are working on the policy. And we have actually, we are budgeting for this year, 2024-2025, so that we can finish up with that process.
How much?
How much did we put for that? About? Huh? Not the educators, he's talking about land transfer of the many title deeds that are not. I don't have the figures at right here, and but I can provide that figures. We have just started the whole process of doing the budget, so we haven't yet put the figures.
But in the previous supplementary, since you came to office, have you allocated any resources? Not yet. So what about these vehicles? Where are they? 40 of them. Is there a fleet maintenance policy that you have put in place?
Yes. Are you talking about the tractors and the moving machines?
Yes, no, the vehicles that had been indicated that the vehicles, how do you manage your fleet? 20 bonded motor vehicles that whose value could not be ascertained. What is the status of vehicles from yours to the rest that CCM use? Are you leasing? Did you buy? Are they in serviceable condition? Specifically these 20.
Honorable Chair, on the issue of fleet management, we already have put in place a fleet management system for the heavy machines, that is the equipment. Those are the ones in the Department of Roads. Now we are working on procuring one for
What
the
do
other
you mean
vehicles.
by fleet management through the chair?
We have a fleet management system.
How if a driver drives from Narok to Nairobi Do they carry out the fuel card? Who ascertain? Do they park within a certain time? Those are answers I want to listen, my friend.
Just hold on. I really don't want to hear the county secretary unless he's in charge of that docket and with the permission from the county government. This issue needs to be resolved because I'm looking at even the query. And Chair,
Yes.
you ask whether we have concerns.
Yes.
You know how you respond to queries really matters. If you've taken a minute to read all the responses, then I'll go to the question you ask,
Yes.
which I want the governor to answer. We go to management response number 3. It says the process of land title deed for the newly bought land was underway at the time of audit was being carried out. The process has since been completed and the title deed acquired. Why didn't you not provide a copy of it to close on that matter? And then it says a part of motor vehicles were
Apart,
repaired.
how many?
How many? You know, here the auditor said there are 20. And you see, one of the things that I want the governor for you to realize is that it doesn't matter what you say here. Ultimately, what is written is what is going to be considered in the report. So when you ask a question, I would expect that you would answer the question to this committee's satisfaction, so that this matter doesn't continue coming back. So, Mr. Chairman, this issue, I want to see the title, because this is not pocket change. I want to see that title having been handed over to the county government, and a copy of it here. Now, the issue of the 20 boarded motor vehicles whose value could not be ascertained, we need to know what the value are. And then if they are to be disposed, how many are being disposed? On issue number 4, it has not been answered. And then if you go to issue number 2, Annex 6 to the financial statement indicate that the county government has not identified its parcels of land with an estimated value of 30 billion. Further, the land registration numbers, ownership, documents, location, valuation documents were not provided for audit.
Yeah.
You know, you've not answered that question. So I don't understand how you expect
And in
us just to-
addition, Senator Ledama, through the chair, in your response, Governor, processing of title deed through the chair for the newly bought land was underway at the time of audit was carried. But your management response was on the other day. So you should give us update. What have you done to ensure that ownership of land has been transferred to the county government? Because this is a land that is worth more than 20 million. 20 million can construct at an average of 1 million 20 ECT classrooms. How many wards do you have in Narok, Bwana Ledama? How many wards through the chair? Yeah, you can construct 3/4 of ECT classrooms with the amount that you used to buy this land. And you are saying this audit, Governor, was in 2021. Yet he should have been telling us the Land Control Board or the signing of transfer of property is underway or has been signed, or it would land registrar. And then we have and have even attached some documentation to show the process is ongoing. And the county attorney knows who happened to have been my classmate. Who should have been doing
Governor,
that service.
If this was the first question which you responded to this way, by now you would have been in Maimahiu back to Narok. I think what the senators are telling you is that there needs to be greater seriousness in responding to these issues. Senator Methu, and let's...
Honorable Chair, I just want to not look at all the issues because my colleagues have conversed around them. And you know, Honorable Chair, in my other parliamentary duties, I serve as the Chairman Committee on Lands. So on this response number 2, Governor, that has been given by the county, that some parcels of land belonging to the county government have been issued with title deeds. The county government is in the process of securing titles for the other parcels, while identification of other parcels is ongoing. The only comfort that I would get out of such a response, Honorable Governor, would be your correspondences with the Ministry of Lands, either the registrar in Narok or the Ministry of Lands in Nairobi. And number 2, correspondences between the county government of Narok and the National Land Commission. That would be the only thing that will prove that this is a matter that this is a process that is ongoing. But just reading that the county government is in the process of securing titles, there's nothing to back up this particular assertion. It's your word of mouth, no correspondences, nothing you've written to the national government, either the National Land Commission or the Ministry of Lands, your own registrar.
Honorable members, we are saying the same thing. Let's allow Senator Ledama the final word on this.
Yeah, this clandestine manner of responding to serious audit queries must end. We cannot be accepting responses like the county government of Narok is in the process of compiling all its assets so as to develop a combined assets register. What is being hidden in secrecy? You know, why can't you just present and say, this is what we've done? The auditor has already identified that you've got what? You've got several manual fixed registers. I mean, isn't it prudent for you to be able to consider a manner where you combine everything and you respond to the query as asked? I mean, I'm disappointed.
Narok owns, does Narok own some conservancies or tourist facilities?
Yes.
The county owns such facilities.
We do. We do have the Masai Mara National Reserve and also the Mau Forest and other lands.
And do you have lodges?
I think the first.
Do you have lodges?
We,
Are there lodges under the management of the county?
well, no, but they are rented by other people
They are rented
in
by,
our land.
they are rented by other people. Because you see, remember, assets is not just the pens and reams of paper.
Yes.
Sure, even
It
to correct-
includes the land and
if I can correct that,
yes.
and that is in my other statement, but I think it's in the tourism committee. Kikorok Lodge is owned by Narok County.
Kikorok.
Kikorok Lodge is owned by Narok County government.
Through the
It's been-
Fountain Municipal
Yes,
Council.
yeah, but now through Narok County, it has been leased by a company called Muthu, not Methu, Muthu.
Muthu.
The same guys who own these Silver Springs,
Oh.
who have leased Silver
Oh,
Springs.
yeah, yes, yeah.
So that's
yeah,
an asset
yes, yes,
that is
yes.
owned by Narok County government.
You own a silver.
Okay. And then there are other assets, including tea estates that are owned by Narok County. Okay, so all those assets are there and they're very clear. You know,
And so that's why there's emphasis on this particular matter. But if in the 10 years, Narok has not developed a policy, that is completely unacceptable. Governor, it then becomes your responsibility. It falls in your lot now to regularize and make sure there's a policy. And then that policy should now drive the establishment of the register. Honorable members, I want to bring the
Chair,
conversation.
Can I add something? Just 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Maybe you can direct chair or upon your request that in the next quarter of financial year, the first quarter of financial year, the Auditor General should report the progress on compliance of that assets register. Because I know the more I narrow you brief-
Senator, we are directed that within the next one quarter, they must have a policy. Because without a policy, they are blind. And all the other counties have, most of the counties have policies, including the county assembly. So within that quarter, a policy, and subsequently, Auditor General, you then confirm compliance with the policy and national guidelines on asset management. So this matter remains unresolved. The Auditor General, you shall keep it in view, but Governor, take note of the disappointment that the responses are not specific and they're just generalities. And as I will repeat, if this was issue number one, we would have sent you back home for further details. This brings us to the end of the consideration of the report of the Auditor General for the financial year ending 30th June 2021. There are a number of issues we shall refer for investigation, a number of issues we shall take to the House for sanction of the public officers involved, and also some will be sending to the professional bodies. We must make sure that within this year, we are dealing with the financial statements for 2022-2023, because it's easy for the current governor and his team to talk about the past and the way they cannot get records from the past. But we must bring this conversation to the current period. I think the people of Narok who have been following this conversation may have been dismayed that we have not considered even a single project. And we have told the Auditor General, that you cannot do an audit report without citing a single project. The only project that has been cited is the bridge and Mwadi Kir facility. And it's not about value for money, it's about the procurement method. So this particular audit will be having a conversation with the Auditor General to agree on the scope and the bare minimum that an audit report must contain. And we believe there must be an inquiry on the on-source revenue. There must be an inquiry on projects for value for money. I will not want to escalate it further because you have had a detailed conversation with the OAG on this. I want to bring the conversation now to closing remarks. Members of the Senate, do you, so the committee members have agreed to donate,
Our time.
have agreed to donate their time. No, I will manage it. So if the committee has donated their time to Senator
No,
Ledamo
I have
Lekina,
not donated mine. So it is the Kataya
fine.
and Metu.
So-
The last time we donated chair, it was abused.
so 2
So
minutes,
allow us to say
Please-
something.
please proceed.
Just in quick succession, Governor, you have realized that you have not been in touch in your management responses. What we want to see in Narok is value for money. You are aware that, and Governor, you should be very careful because you are aware as we talk here, our message of reduction of increment of 391 billion to 415 billion has been communicated today afternoon to National Assembly. The members of National Assembly are opposing more allocation to county governments. The reason? There is no value for money. There is no tangible projects. There is a lot of allocations of corruption, financial impropriety. Governor, the Senate does not have any intention of denying more resources to counties. But Senate will always want value for money to wananchi in Narok, in Nandi, in Nyandarua, and across the country. And the selling point of members of National Assembly through the chair today afternoon has been that devolution, there is no value for devolution. Governor, can you change that in Narok County? We want to see hospitals working, want to see the completely facilities or development projects that were there. In any case, those projects that are there do not belong to any person who was in that office. It belongs to the great people of Narok. And Narok is one of the highest GDP in the country, that in their own source revenue, they can even, if they harness properly. We are aware there is a company called JamboPay. JamboPay is a company that messed up Meru, it messed up Nairobi. They are now using to collect revenue, which will not maximize in terms of revenue within the county government of Narok. So, Governor, and also finally, your biggest letdown has been the people seated around you. You either fire them or they'll fire you. I thank you, Governor. I thank you, Chair.
Since the members have donated their time to the Narok Senator, Governor, your closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Chair and honorable senators. First and foremost, I think this was also a learning process. We have learned a lot and we have taken very seriously issues that have been raised by the honorable senators. And I want to promise this committee, led by the able chairman, that we'll do whatever we can to make sure that next time we come before you, we will answer the question properly and promptly. And I must say that I've also observed a lot of things and I've seen a lot of things that I'm not happy about. And I want to assure this committee that we are going to make it better than what we have done today. Last but not least, I also want to say that I will be more than willing, if the senators do wish to come and visit my county, to look at the kind of work that we have done in Narok for the last 1 year and 7 months. I must say that there is a lot of improvement on the procurement processes, on the issue of completion of projects, and even reducing the pending bills from 1.5 to almost 585 million. I think that is a lot, and we are going to reduce it even more. I know that sometimes, things are reported differently, but I want to assure the people of Narok that I am going to work very hard to make sure that whatever that the Senate want to know, I'm always open, I'm always ready. I think this is my 4th or 5th time that I've come here to answer any question, and I'm not ready because I've been a member of parliament. I'm ready to give out any information or any document that will help this committee to do their work. Thank you.
Finally, Senator Ledamo Lekino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I have to say to the governor that I'm thoroughly disappointed. I'm disappointed because of the method in which your staff have chosen to respond to audit queries. The audit queries are very clear, very simple, where you ask to give a reconciliation of 42 million, you go about giving us a story from Mecca to Medina. It doesn't help. I want to request that you pay attention. The law is very clear. If you read section 103 of the PFM Act, all the way to section 104, it sets up the county treasury. Setting up the county treasury, it puts the gentleman on your right or your left as the head of treasury. If he's not competent, which he has demonstrated not to be competent, for you to be able to save yourself, the best thing for you to do is to move him. In the last administration, we caused for 1 CC, 2 CCs to be shuffled to be able to try and solve problems. We have serious issues. You've indicated to this committee, and you know this is a house of record, and these will be taken to task, that the current pending bills for Narok County is only 530 million. The figures we have as of December 30th from the Auditor General was 1.4 billion. These figures are obtained from the requisitions, they are obtained from IFMIS, so it becomes very complicated when you say the figures are 500, yet the figures are 1.4 billion. Secondly, on the issue of pending bills, contractors have always been trooping in every single office. You yourself in your CCM Finance, in your CEO Finance, were camping at the Controller of Budget Office to try and seek a middle ground between yourselves and the contractors, where you developed a payment plan. Now that payment plan is being made mandatory by this Senate after passing a resolution through delegations. And I want your legal team to refer you to Article 123, where Senate makes resolution through delegations and it becomes bounding. So it's imperative that you adhere to the resolution and make sure that we clear these pending bills. It is also important that when coming here, before coming here, you yourself take time to relook at the questions, the way they have been asked, the way they have been responded to by your team. I appreciate the fact that you may be busy, and also you may not have the time to write the responses, and rightfully so, because you have a team which you pay a salaries to be able to write. It doesn't hurt for you to check a simple question when you are asked to provide details of 20 vehicles. You say, oh, we are in the process of doing it. That clandestine manner of responding should really come to an end. I'm disappointed also because of the manner in which the responses to the Senate are taken casually. I want you to know that these things don't just disappear. They stay. They remain. If you look at the Auditor General report, every year, the Auditor General report every year has prior year matters. Unless they are completed by this committee, those issues will continue appearing and they'll continue making Narok County look bad. So I want to plead with you to please adhere to the fiduciary duty. You have a legal obligation as the CEO of the entity to ensure that every expenditure supported by your CCM Finance is authorized by law. What is not authorized by law will end up putting you in a lot of problems. Before I conclude, Mr. Chairman, in the previous sittings where you had, and my apology, I was out on other parliamentary duties, you had indicated that you will be setting up another date on when the governor will appear. If you can pronounce yourself on that matter, so that on that particular one, maybe then the governor can bring in ownership documentation of all the vehicles that we had asked for, and also maybe even the other 20 ones which were bonded. Otherwise, Mr. Chairman, let me stop there. And I conclude by saying, I look forward for the day when we go to Narok so that we can separate facts from fiction in terms of project completion of project. % of the project that have been budgeted for have not been completed. The governor said, to use his word, I was lying to the public. Then let's separate fact from fiction. We go to the ground and we can be able to see, because, you know, this water will remain water. It will not change into milk unless a cow drinks it and then it's milk. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We will close the meeting, and audit is supposed to spur improvement. People argue whether it should be continuous improvement or continual improvement, but it's more of continual improvement. So I hope out of this exercise, Governor, you and your team, you have picked certain things so that our next engagement will be quicker. We don't have to sit up to 5 o'clock, and your relationship with the Auditor General will be more robust. I also want to encourage you. You have a senator who is passionate and who is experienced. I have sat with Senator Ledamo Lekina in this committee since he joined Parliament. Let us not look at our senators as adversaries. They are the ambassadors of the counties. They are the ones who represent and defend the interests of counties and their government. And I've seen where the senator and the governor are reading from the same script. It does not have to be the same political script. It does not have to be the same personal script, but the script of standing up for the interest of the county. Those counties do well. So your senator, when it came to the issue of the formula for allocation of revenue, he stood up and he stood tall and firm for the benefit of counties like Narok. So I hope that we'll be able to again separate truth from fiction, separate politics from actual representation, and find a way where all the players in the county, the senator, the governor, can have a common purpose for the benefit of the county. Finally, I think last week you were here to respond to a request for statement by Senator Ledamo Lekina. We gave directives on timelines for submission of certain information, primary information, and I think there could have been a few supplementary information. I believe the clerk has already written the letter to the county executive. Once the timelines that we had pronounced lapse, we will be able now to set up a date for our next meeting. Otherwise, in terms of the Auditor General's report, our next engagement will be on the report of the Auditor General for the 2021-2022 financial year and the receiver of revenue statement for that financial year. This meeting is adjourned. We were to meet tomorrow at 9:30, but considering the fact that we've been here all day, I've consulted with the clerk. We have deferred the agenda for tomorrow's meeting. It was mainly housekeeping. The meeting is adjourned.